So I got my bachelor's in electrical engineering, my master's in industrial, and I've worked for several Fortune 50 companies. I was actually employed as electrical engineer for about 5 years. And a couple of things happened. The first thing is that I realized that I wasn't impacting the lives of others in a way that made sense to me. So on my tombstone, I didn't want it to be said, she made power products. I wanted something more meaningful for my life. But the second thing that happened, which is really the focus of my research, is that very subtle experiences I had working in my plant, which was mostly white and mostly male, that said to me that every day and every way I was going to have to prove my worth, prove my worthiness of being in that place. And that was really kind of debilitating for me. And as I talk to other students now, as I do this research, it is a phenomenon across the country. The students are feeling like they have to prove their intellectual worthiness in order to be in STEM. So that was also one of the reasons that spurred my research interests. And so I'm looking at particularly Black engineering PhD students and their desire to get a faculty position. The reason why this is so important and yet troubling is that there's a stagnation in terms of Black engineering faculty. So those numbers have been at about 2.5% for the last 8 years, in spite of well-intended and well-resourced interventions to try to increase that number. Some preliminary results we have of the 67 Black engineering students and postdocs that we interviewed is that they have spent so much time attempting to prove and reprove their intellectual abilities in academia as a graduate student and even as an undergrad, that they don't want to suffer through that anymore after they get their PhD. There are certain ways that students can cope with feeling racialized in ways that lead to more positive, proactive, not only STEM achievement, but physical and mental wellness. So that's also one of the things that we're trying to work on in these projects is to have faculty share some of the ways they navigate a racial hostile environment in ways that don't kind of debilitate them or impact their career trajectory.
A number of players can emerge as being important in shaping positive mathematics, science, and racial identities.
One of the ways that we sought to remedy that with another grant is to do a race and gender conscious mentoring program. So we gathered 10 of the top scholars across the country here at Vanderbilt to do a couple of video workshops where they explain both a more balanced perspective of what it's like to be a faculty member, but also how to deal with things like racial microaggressions, how to approach being a Black woman faculty member. So what are some strategies and what are some successes as opposed to just salivating over the challenges over and over again. So a lot of times in the STEM field, we put the onus on the students themselves to rise against, the forces of racism and sexism and other isms that could potentially impact their academic achievement. But we wanted to situate that there are some things structurally that are happening too, and some ways that we can kind of attend to those.
The idea that a mentor is someone that helps you to develop.
Another important part of that panel discussion was how to do effective mentoring, particularly the need for white allies who can also speak up against the issues that are facing students of color.